No clips today. I decided to take a break. Couldn't think of one to put. I thought about putting on the introduction to Emmerdale Farm from the early 70s. But then, you can look these things up yourself if you want to. I thought a bit about that program today and watched parts of an episode of it, which had scenes of domestic life, the local shop, the local pub, interspersed with outside scenes. And it seemed to be primarily people in their late 30s to late 40s, I'd guess, maybe early 50s years of age in the series. And I can't vouch for whether it accurately depicted rural life back then. But it seemed to have a pace about it that I remember being a pace I quite liked. And this is one of the things I wanted to mention today about one of the things I want to mention today, which was about the political and economic changes that happened that swept through the different fields, the different spheres in society. That meant that Emmerdale Farm in the early 1970s had a pace like that, whereas by the time it became called Emmerdale in the mid 80s, I think, mid to late 80s maybe, it was sort of influenced by those politics and those economic forces, where commercial TV, really chased after money, sort of thing, and that did have an impact on its programming. There was I think there was a boom around then, or it was coming to that point where there was a younger population with more financial resources than there had been previously, I think, in comparison. And like I said, the market competition in programming did influence the output of broadcasters, not only in independent TV but in public service broadcasting as well. And that sort of characterises something. So I also looked at a series called How We Used to Live that I remember from about the mid 80s. I recall this quite thick set fella being the lead character in the episodes I saw. Couldn't find him online. But to me, it smacked of nostalgia TV. There's what's called an educational resource about 20-30 miles up the road at a place called Dudley, the Black Country Museum, that sort of is about Victorian life, I think. But to me, it smacks of nostalgia more than anything. And there's something about nostalgia to me that suggests that it's sort of a neurosis. I can't really vouch for society after about 1996, after around that period. But up to then, and maybe my knowledge of society now isn't what it was, but up until then most people would go to work, get home, turn on the TV. I don't know the proportion of people in higher education now, or even in further education, who may make better use of online materials. But even so, if the marketisation of the British education system is as pronounced as what I've heard, then I'm guessing that education is more about getting a job than anything else. It's too weighted towards getting a job. Maybe, I don't know for sure. But if that is the case, and if people are narrowly confined in their subjects, then that doesn't bode well for the breadth of knowledge and the depth of knowledge that would address in later life the neurosis of nostalgia that may, affect those people as well. And you do see that I've seen it in a series like Emmerdale, where the facts of life, like the everyday stuff and the more substantial stuff, isn't dealt with. Some people celebrate how popular culture does this. I don't particularly, but maybe my view's dated. And I don't watch much of this stuff. Well, I don't really watch TV at all these days. And I'm, of course, making the assumption that people don't make the most of the internet. I certainly don't these days. But also, most people haven't got the time and space that I've got to mull over these things and just, faff about mulling over this, that, and whatever. But yeah, there does seem to be that neurosis of nostalgia, where you look back to a fixed time and you idealise it. With me, though, when I look back, and you could say, well, you look back, didn't you? Well, yeah, I do. But I look back to a period of massive change, primarily. Even in 1974, I'm pretty sure the political and economic scene was, the ideas were starting to formulate around what would then become quite soon after that, not too long after that, a big shift politically and economically, which did have an impact on, like I say, different fields in society, not least broadcasting, not least telecommunications, not least communication itself, information technology, as it was called back then. But yeah, when I look back, I do look back, and it's periods of change that fascinated me, and from about 1974 onwards, and then it just, the pace of it just really was something to behold. But yeah, and pretty much those shifts went from 1974. Not so much from 1974. Like I say, those ideas were starting to formulate in 1974 in the political and economic fields. They'd later could become more and more up to the election of Margaret Thatcher in 1979. And then massive change. But the change was coming in other areas, not just politically. You know, there were shifts in technology and communication around that time. There were, you know, the advent of personal computers, I've mentioned before, you know, consumer electronics and stuff. You know, big changes, big changes. But the thing with Emmerdale Farm was, as well, I think I've mentioned this, that they went from a demographic that was 40s, 50s, 60s. I'm guessing those were the people who had most spending power to attract advertisers. So the broadcasters could attract advertisers. Then it became a younger audience, as I've said. I'm pretty sure. And then it became younger audiences, and also the market conditions affected, like I say, not broadcasting, but not just broadcasting. You know, you can look wider afield at films and stuff like that. And like I say, many people do celebrate popular culture. And many people celebrate what used to be called high culture. But me, I just prefer to sit around with the time and space I've got and mull things over. Like I say, I'm particularly well read, but I have got that most people haven't got, the time and space to, you know, mull over things. And yeah, I think that's a real issue. What I'd call the neurosis of nostalgia. You know, apparently older people do get things like loneliness, for example. How could you get lonely in 2025? You know, okay, my situation at the moment is a bit different to most other people's, even though I'm not that old. But I can't see how you could possibly get into that psychological state in an era like this. Again, making a whole heap of assumptions about what this era is like, bearing in mind that I haven't really had my finger on the pulse, so to speak, since about 1996 in many ways. And it's going to take me quite some time, if ever, to really figure out how society and the different fields of society work. But yeah, 1974 to 1994, massive change. You know, not the nostalgia of stasis, or you know, not the neurosis of nostalgia, but looking back to a period that could be so exciting with the amount of change. Yeah. 1994 was a period in Dudley, the same place I mentioned about the museum that's there. Was where I came across a bunch of students on what was then the World Wide Web that had just been released 2 years previously, apparently. And it just spread like wildfire, the World Wide Web. And there was something called Yahoo, and Yahoo just had this menu system with different fields, and you just selected the field you were interested in, quite a number of fields as well, and you could navigate the web. Now it's you know, I don't know, you know, search as it is, as I know it, sort of assumes prior knowledge, or sort of may even limit knowledge by giving too much choice, and not categorising it. If things like Google, Microsoft and so on are anything to go by. These big search engines that don't really give, and also governments and businesses apparently have had a big say in how the web or seem to attract a big audience, despite the fact that also a big audience is attracted to small scale content producers, not least video diarists. Video diarists, I think, is a better term to use. It's got a more interesting etymology, and in the Foucauldian sense, archaeology. You can tap into a whole heap of stuff with the word video diarist as opposed to video vlogger, sort of thing. But yeah, apart from, in some ways, since '94, the changes have primarily been cosmetic, I think, in many ways. The significant changes, and those changes would have come. Those changes did actually come before phones, where people did increasingly become producers. But it just wasn't as, it just wasn't multimodal like it is now, to the same extent. Back then you set up a website and it's primarily text. But it was an interesting time. Now, this is one of the reasons I concentrate on TV so much. Is because, and the early information technology, as it was called back then, it's because I sort of pretty much take the web and most technology now for granted. It's just boring to me now. It's like I say, I don't see, despite the fact that I can't be sure because I haven't had my finger on the pulse since about 1996. Nothing really exciting is happening with technology, communication, politics, economics, and so on and so forth. Not that I know much about economics, not that I know much about politics. But like I say, I do like to mull these things over. And to be charitable to the web as it is, there are ways to find that stuff out. But this is the thing I think, and that is, you don't necessarily need a further higher education to be able to mull things over and have the capability to learn stuff. But is the stuff that leads up, prepares people for things like the web, substantial enough in terms of breadth and depth to really offset things like the neurosis of nostalgia? I don't know. But yeah, anyway, I'm 55 years of age, mid-50s. Like I say, not old yet. I may face a situation later in life where I do feel things like being lonely. Can't see it myself. Like I say, there's, in a way, harking back to what I say about Emmerdale Farm, the type of pace it had. you know, when I get into the sort of pace and atmosphere that I enjoy, then I can mull things over pretty well, I think. I did do a version of this prior to filming this one, and it was utter shit. It was utter shite. I might have to redo this one as well. I've 21 minutes now. Again, I haven't really said anything. But yeah, maybe that's significant or something. I don't know. But yeah, didn't sleep much. Yeah, again, I had mushrooms with pasta with cream and mushrooms. Getting bored of it now. Oh, and ice cream, chocolate ice cream, which are actually really nice. They're only bog standard ones, but they're pretty nice. Later, chicken with rice and strawberries and cream. I should have had the strawberries and cream earlier, but I couldn't be bothered to make them at the time. Was going to have a chinky tonight, but then I realised the dates of my food mean that I can't get a chinky possibly this week. I was going to have what used to be the boozer's favourite, chicken fried rice, curry sauce and chips. But then again, maybe I don't know. Like I said, the novelty's worn off with those for now. I think I do. You know, I've had those Indians for the past 2 weeks. I wouldn't mind having some more of them now and again. The flavours are really something else. For now, you know, the taste of chicken fried rice doesn't really isn't as I do like my spicy food as well. I suppose chicken fried rice has got its own qualities. Curry sauce and chips. But yeah, I think steak tomorrow. Steak with egg and chips. If I cook the steak right, that really is something else. That's about it. Looks nice weather outside again. Bit of a breeze. I can't even remember the last time I went out. I should look it up. Quite some time now. But in the interim, I've nearly, completely kept the windows and curtains shut. Now I see stuff out there and it doesn't really register as it did, which I suppose is progress. But I'll see next time we'll go for a coffee. If I go for a coffee, I'm quite I wouldn't mind going out, but I can just as easily stay indoors and just faff about. I don't really get much. Can't really mull over stuff out and about. Go for just sitting there having a coffee. I can do that here. But anyway, yeah, I have thought about getting what is it? The a metronome and a pendulum clock, and some cushions with cushion covers that are a bit more of an interesting colour than that. Could get both, all, but it's expense. And even though I can afford it, I don't really see the need. You know, the like I've said in a previous video, I've bought pretty much everything I'd want for vlogging. Video diary, making video diaries. Uh, I've not really got anything to get for this place. There's not really much I'd want or need. You know, I mean, the amount of food I'm getting, you know, that is, you need food. Maybe a bit like with so many of the changes in technology, society, and so on and so forth. So much of it does seem, in no small way, cosmetic to a certain degree. But yeah, rest of the day then, like I say, I meditated earlier. Didn't have much sleep last night. I think I mentioned. It's coming up to 20 to 6. After sunset, I'll look at the traffic, the lights of the traffic. There's a road that goes there. There's a road that goes there. There's also a road that goes there, but there's a road that goes there where the traffic, I can see the headlights on the wall over there. And it reminds me of years ago when I used to drive along, put me like down country lanes and so on and so forth. Put my car headlights on full beam to blind the oncoming traffic. And sometimes they'd put them on like that fucking believable. But yeah, apart from that, it's just like, look at that sort of stuff. And just faff about. Maybe listen to a bit of music, but I'm listening to the same stuff every single day. I did try getting Spotify today to see if their playlists are any good. Didn't actually look at any of the playlists. I thought, well, they'll only be shit anyway. So I looked up a few composers. Couldn't find anything I wanted. I thought it was all shit. But yeah. But there you go. Haven't read any of that book. I think I'm just gonna leave it and try and search for something with a bit more oomph to it, a bit more. Because like I say, this one's taken forever to get anywhere, and maybe donkeys years ago I might have put up with stuff like that, but I'd rather read something a bit interesting. But yeah. Trying to think of anything else. Not really. Can't think of anything. Like I say, not really said much in this yet again, which is sort of maybe significant. I think it may well be. But yeah, let's leave it at that.